In a stunning turn of events during a recent WNBA matchup, Chicago Sky's Angel Reese found herself on the receiving end of a humbling lesson delivered by Dallas Wings forward NaLyssa Smith. The incident unfolded early in the game when Reese delivered a hard shove to Smith during a rebounding effort, an act that would usually trigger a fearful retreat from her opponent. But Smith didn't flinch. Instead, she squared up and met Reese's aggression with silent defiance, setting the tone for what would become a psychological and athletic dismantling of one of the league's most outspoken personalities. The tense exchange ignited a shift in momentum that was felt throughout the arena. While Reese attempted to escalate the confrontation with her trademark flair, Smith maintained a stoic focus, refusing to be baited into theatrics. This single moment of resistance reverberated far beyond the court, underscoring a stark contrast between two competing styles in women's professional basketball, one rooted in grit and poise, the other in bravado and chaos. As the game progressed, it became clear that Nelissa Smith had no intention of allowing Angel Reese to dominate either physically or mentally. Throughout the contest, Smith asserted her presence with commanding defense, smart positioning, and timely offense, culminating in 14 points, 3 blocks, and an undeniable control of the paint. Reese, on the other hand, faltered under the pressure, finishing with a paltry 4 points on 3 for 12 shooting. Commentators noted the emotional unraveling of Reese as Smith continued to neutralize her impact, stripping away the psychological edge that Reese often wielded so effectively. This wasn't just a statistical victory for Smith. It was a public unmasking of Reese's overhyped image. What began as a physical altercation evolved into a symbolic clash of ideologies, where discipline and determination triumphed over showmanship. Fans and analysts alike were left stunned by the lopsided duel, which served as a reminder of what happens when performance fails to match personality. The animosity between Reese and Smith did not start on this night. Their rivalry traces back to last season, when heated exchanges and competitive jabs laid the foundation for this most recent encounter. However, what made this latest confrontation so impactful was the sense of closure it provided for Smith. After spending months watching her name and reputation dragged through social media by memes and biased narratives, Smith finally had the opportunity to respond, not with tweets or sound bites, but with execution on the court. The matchup was as much about redemption as it was about retaliation, and Smith embraced that role with a composed tenacity that left no doubt about who had the upper hand. The depth of their rivalry, combined with the national spotlight and a packed crowd, turned this regular season game into a defining moment for both players. While Reese relied on her usual antics to stir attention, Smith let her game write the headlines. Adding even more significance to the clash is the fact that Nelissa Smith is a former Indiana Fever player, an organization Reese has publicly criticized and taunted in past interviews. Smith's connection to the Fever added a layer of intensity to the night's events, as her performance served not just as personal vindication, but as a defense of a franchise she still clearly respects. In the backdrop of Reese's antagonistic history with the Fever, particularly her veiled shots at Caitlin Clark and the team's culture, Smith's dominance read like a calculated rebuttal. For many, it felt like Smith wasn't just protecting her legacy. She was protecting the identity of a team that has worked hard to establish credibility in a league often overshadowed by controversy. This added dimension only elevated the emotional stakes of the night, turning what could have been a mere skirmish into a symbolic battle for pride and principle. The numbers from this game paint a picture that words alone cannot convey. Nelissa Smith's 14 points and 3 blocks came in just 19 minutes of action, demonstrating both her efficiency and command of the game. Conversely, Angel Reese struggled from start to finish, managing just 4 points and 5 rebounds while shooting 25% from the field. Meanwhile, in the same game, Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark exploded for 31 points and 12 assists, showcasing the kind of performance that draws viewers for the right reasons. The statistical gulf between Reese and Smith was mirrored by the difference in demeanor, effort, and results. For all the noise surrounding Reese's presence in the league, it was Smith who delivered a masterclass in professionalism. When measured side by side, the contrast in productivity and poise couldn't be starker. This game didn't just crown a winner, it exposed the gap between hype and impact. However, this high-profile face-off cannot be examined without addressing the larger disciplinary and cultural issues plaguing the WNBA. The league has seen a troubling uptick in technical fouls, suspensions, and on-court incidents, prompting concerns about player conduct and enforcement consistency. Both Smith and Reese received technical fouls for their confrontation, but the lack of further consequences signals a deeper problem. Players are pushing the envelope more frequently, confident that repercussions will be minimal. The Reese-Smith altercation is a symptom of a system that enables performative aggression over competitive focus. With lenient penalties and inconsistent officiating, the WNBA risks normalizing behavior that detracts from the game's integrity. This erosion of standards threatens to alienate fans and diminish the league's hard-fought credibility. This moment demands introspection not just from players, but from league leadership. This leads us inevitably to Caitlin Clark, whose treatment by opponents and officials has become a flashpoint issue across the league. Despite being the most marketable and composed athlete on the court, Clark is often subject to excessive physicality and questionable officiating. Her ability to absorb contact and stay focused has drawn praise, but also raised alarms about the league's failure to protect its stars. When Clark is penalized for routine basketball plays while players like Reese provoke multiple incidents, with limited consequence, it becomes clear that the rules are applied unevenly. Clark's presence and performance offer a blueprint for how the league can attract and retain viewership, but that opportunity is being squandered by an inconsistent system that appears more tolerant of chaos than committed to excellence. Smith's handling of Reese reinforces what Clark exemplifies: grace under fire and substance over spectacle. The WNBA now stands at a critical juncture. It must decide whether to cultivate a league defined by elite athleticism or one remembered for tabloid theatrics. The Reese-Smith standoff brought these conflicting paths into sharp focus. Players like Smith and Clark exemplify what the league could be: highly skilled, mentally tough, and universally respected. On the other hand, the tolerance of antics like those displayed by Reese suggests a league more interested in social media moments than sustained growth. If the WNBA wants to achieve long-term success, it must prioritize the former. The moment has come to reward discipline, discourage drama, and enforce consistent rules. Anything less risks turning professional basketball into an unregulated arena for personal feuds. The fallout from the Reese-Smith exchange extended beyond the scoreboard. Social media erupted with commentary, fans debated passionately, and commentators dissected every second of the altercation. But beyond the headlines and highlight reels was a clear message: the old methods of intimidation no longer hold sway. Reese walked into the game expecting to assert dominance. Instead, she left visibly shaken, her confidence punctured, and her game exposed. Smith walked away the clear victor, not because she shouted the loudest, but because she played the smartest. The takeaway for young athletes, coaches, and league officials is simple: composure and preparation still win championships. Hype fades, skill endures. As we look forward, the WNBA must examine how it navigates these high-stakes moments. Does it continue to tolerate disruptive conduct under the guise of personality? Or does it pivot toward fostering a culture of excellence and accountability? Players like Nelissa Smith offer a glimpse into what that future could look like: a league where athletes rise through ability, not antics. Angel Reese, for all her marketing potential, has reached a crossroads. She can either evolve and rise to the standards the league deserves, or remain a symbol of its growing pains. The WNBA's next moves will shape not just how it's perceived, but how it grows. Fans are watching, the media is watching, and now, thanks to Smith's statement, performance, the stakes are higher than ever.